Yellowstone, an island of wild in a civilized world. Throughout our journals, we've documented the great and the small, predator and prey, life and death. Few factors have such influence over all of this than the seasonal changes that help shape the behavior of the park's residents, as well as the landscape itself. More than anything else, these influences are what drive movement, choice, habit, and evolution. In this episode, we revisit some of the key moments of our journals while exploring the season's influences on this wild place. Halfway between the North Pole and the equator, Yellowstone is a clash of extremes. With the frigid winter season comes the most desperate of times. Food is scarce. Predator and prey alike scrounge for anything that will keep them alive. With the sun comes a partial relief from the bitter cold. Over time, bison and wolf have developed tools and strategies to combat the seemingly endless winter. With the bison, power. With the wolf, cooperation. Cooperation to hunt powerful beasts. Sometimes it is the hunter that wins. More often than not, it is the bison that stands triumphant. When food is found, cooperation within a pack can give in to conflict. With food so scarce and an appetite that requires daily attention, the grizzly has evolved to sleep for 5 to 6 months. As winter wanes, the grizzly emerges from his den, and there's nothing on his mind but nourishment. A greedy appetite begets an intolerant demeanor. But when his belly can hold no more, there are always scavengers around to finish off the leftovers. In spring, high in the mountains, snow melts, and gravity forces the water down, carving through rock, digging deep into mountains, creating the river valleys that soon will be alive with thousands of creatures. In the summer, the fullness of life is on vivid display. But with life comes conflict. As summer continues, competition for food is ever present. The landscape begins to dry up. Rainfall is scarce, and the conditions are ripe for one of the most destructive forces in nature. But as the hillsides burn, they are also filled with the thundering sound of battles. Battles that will decide who gets to carry on their species. The rains come, extinguishing the fires, leaving a patchwork of scars throughout the park. But what was once thought as pointless destruction will now make room for new life. In fall, daylight diminishes. The inevitable promise of winter sparks self-preservation, and the pursuit of a mate becomes paramount. snow begins to fall again. This relentless cycle of life and death is neither still nor silent. It echoes with violence and suffering, promise and hope. But year after year, a paradise called Yellowstone awaits those with the capacity to adapt and endure Mother Nature. And this is their story. Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. This is Yellowstone Journals. It's spring in Yellowstone, and the warmth of the sun brings new life and energy to the park. Bears come out of hiding, searching for food. And babies of all shapes and sizes explore their incredible new world. Every resident is eager to enjoy the warmth of the new season. It's a magical time, full of promise. A pair of osprey return from their southern migration. Ospreys will often return to their same nest year after year. And it would seem that this nest is in need of repair. The male gathers the nesting materials by diving down to dead trees and snapping off branches in mid-flight. Then he delivers them to the female, who weaves the sticks together and arranges them. Osprey nests are huge and bulky, in part because they're used year after year. They can end up being over 10 feet deep and 6 feet wide as more materials are added each season. This bird is massive, with a 4-foot wingspan. Their nest needs to be sturdy and strong to support both the chicks and the parents. In the spring, elk migrate to higher grounds to find new plants exposed by the newly melted snow. This herd finds some of the last remaining snowfields on the north face of a mountain. A young cow elk breaks from the crowd for a little cooling down fun. Ah, nature's air conditioner. Elk will also seek out these fields for relief from the summer bugs. This lone wolf goes out in search of prey and a bath. Wolves don't last long without a pack, so finding any kind of food is of utmost importance. Without a pack, a wolf knows better than to bother an adult bison, so he moves on. As the spring sun warms the park, this mother golden eagle warms her egg. She and her partner mate for life, and he goes off hunting to bring back food for the family. He'll do this the entire 6 weeks of incubation, occasionally subbing in for her so that she has a chance to stretch her wings. Over the winter, this mama grizzly had 2 little cubs. These cubs are seeing the world for the first time. Moms brought them to this open area to feast on roots and berries. A cow elk wanders up. The cubs have never seen anything like it. Still, a little unbalanced on their feet, they stand to get a good look at this strange visitor. The elk warily watches the bear family as she makes her way toward her herd. Bear cubs will play with each other under the watchful eye of their mother. This play fighting is very important for young bears because it teaches them to protect themselves and helps them get stronger for the challenges ahead. This great horned owl is just minding its own business. But wait, some magpies seem to be harassing it. Or is it the other way around? When predators encroach on other birds' territory, the birds will make alarm calls and pester it. This is called mobbing behavior, which notifies all of the surrounding animals that a predator is nearby. All this commotion has also attracted a kestrel, a small raptor. The owl has trespassed on his territory. But the owl still stands her ground. Finally, her chick appears. Mom was just waiting for her baby. Time to leave these pesky birds alone. Out in the open plains, these bison graze and keep their young close. Power in numbers is the best way to protect their young against any potential predator. Bison are always on the move, looking for fresh grass. A large wolf pack wanders the meadow, always in search of easy prey. These little bison calves would be a fine meal. Alerted by the pack, the bison take a defensive approach and attempt to leave. But the wolves call to each other and begin to surround the herd. The bison employ the circle defense, huddling together in a tight circle. The female will circle the young calves and the males will circle them. They then turn and face their attackers. The larger bulls charge at the wolves. This bison herd is strong, and they successfully deter the wolf attack. A spring storm moves in, and the residents of Yellowstone seek shelter. But there's no shelter for this eagle mother. She must keep her egg warm to ensure her offspring's survival. A mother pronghorn tends to her babies. Pronghorn are the fastest land mammals in North America, almost as fast as a cheetah. Newborn pronghorns can walk within 30 minutes of being born and outrun humans within 4 days. By week 1, they can outrun a horse. Jumping and playing like this helps to develop their legs and balance. This mother keeps a keen eye out for predators. The spring storm has passed, and this eagle has been rewarded for her efforts. A little golden chick peeks out of the nest. This chick will need to be thermoregulated by its parents until it's roughly 20 days old. But now, there's another mouth to feed. These 3 bears are siblings. Having recently been kicked out by mom, they are now on their own, but still too young and inexperienced to leave each other. For the next year or 2, they will curiously explore their world together, look for food, and of course, play. This is a tough and trying time, and staying together will help ensure their survival until they are ready to take the final step into adulthood. A sow and her 2 yearling cubs appear on the ridge. They're heading to the same area to forage for the first shoots of vegetation that have been uncovered by the melting snow. They see and smell evidence of the siblings. The 3 siblings see the new group, and in their first moments without mom's protection, are not taking any chances. They scamper up the hill away from the newcomers. But the two yearlings are curious and chase the three up the hill. This is just one of many interactions that young bears will have as they grow and learn. Within 20 days, the chick has started standing. It's growing up fast. The parents will continue to work together to find food for the entire family. Our lone wolf has caught the scent of two elk grazing nearby. In a fit of desperation, he takes chase. Without a strategic hunting offense that a pack would provide, his only chance is to tire them out. He chases them to the edge of the park, and they reunite with their herd. There are too many targets, and they have energy to spare. And he has managed to tire himself out instead. Spring in the park is a time of new beginnings. But it's also a time of great danger. The promise of a better tomorrow applies only to those who survive today. We have seen Yellowstone National Park through the summer, fall, winter, and spring. Each season presents its own struggles and triumphs. In this relatively small area, a great many species are able to live as they have over the millennia. Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. This is Yellowstone Journals. Winter slowly releases its cold grasp on Yellowstone. But at an average elevation of 8,000 feet, spring takes its time to arrive. The sun melts the ice and snow, waking Yellowstone from its deep winter slumber, bringing the park to life. A coyote soaks up the warmth of the sun's rays, ears perking up at the sound of cracking ice. He's not the only one who hears it. His pack is eager and excited. They know that from the ice, more food will emerge, and they start to move as a pack to see where the ice has melted. This pack has caught a scent in the distance. Although they prefer fresh meat, they'll welcome the opportunity to scavenge, often traveling between 3 and 10 miles per day in search of food. They frequently use iced-over rivers as travel routes, which can be difficult to cross once the ice begins to melt. With the sun warming the landscape for the first time in months, they take some time to play. With the melt comes moving water, and with water comes an abundance of food for all living things in Yellowstone. Waterfalls push tons and tons of water through the park, ushering in the elixir of life to an entire ecosystem. This male hawk returns to the park after a long winter migration. On a high-up branch, his female companion waits patiently for him to return. With the melt comes breeding season. The breeding season runs from late February all the way through March. Red-tailed hawks are often separated from their mates during migration, but they will always return to the same territory to reunite with each other. They'll only take a new mate when one of them dies. For this couple, copulation only lasts 5 to 10 seconds, but they will mate several more times per day throughout the breeding season. The male will help her build their nest high up in this tree, but the primary responsibility of incubating the eggs will fall on the female. We'll give these two lovebirds some privacy. As the park thaws, the grizzlies come out of hibernation. After 5 to 7 months in their den, they're looking for a much-needed meal. Grizzlies have an exceptional sense of smell. This guy has caught a whiff of something from a nearby pond. There's something in there, and he's determined to get it. A juvenile bald eagle flies in to investigate. It's common for larger animals to fall through the ice during the winter, which makes for an easy first meal of the new year. With this kind of prize, he won't be dining alone. Scavengers are always present, and all they need to do is wait. Three deep canyons are located in the park. Their walls forged from volcanic tuff, making them vulnerable to breakage and decay, especially as the ice melts. It's here that we find a raven's nest, tucked in on the canyon wall. The high location keeps the chicks safe from predators, but the rocks and the swift river below make for a precarious situation. Foraging for food nearby, the mama raven is alerted by the chirps of her chicks. The raven is one of the most intelligent creatures in the animal kingdom, sharing the mantle with chimpanzees and dolphins. It'll take both mom and dad to keep these chicks safe, fed, and warm. After only 1 week, the chicks' feathers have begun to fill out. As the chicks continue to grow, so too does their demand for food. The raven mom and dad stay busy as they forage and hunt for food nearby. They keep a watchful eye on the nest, on the lookout for any approaching predators. Mama raven will aggressively defend their territory and its food resources if necessary. Our coyotes have followed their noses to the grizzly. The coyotes sneak closer, testing the temperament of the grizzly. This meal won't be easily taken. To hide its scent, the grizzly begins to cache it, covering it with grass, as well as his own scent. He's not sharing this meal with any other animal. With his meal sufficiently cached, he's had his fill for the moment and moves on. The hungry coyotes waste no time and move in for the hidden scraps. With the unpredictability of the spring weather comes the harsh reality that survival in Yellowstone is still difficult. This elk has been separated from its herd. That's not a good sign. The presence of magpies is a further indication that this elk is suffering. The magpie is another highly intelligent bird and can sense that this elk isn't well. Over the winter, the scarcity of food tests all animals, and unfortunately, this elk may not have been up to the challenge. The herd is close, but they too can sense that their companion isn't well, and they keep their distance. It's only a matter of time before the magpie has more to eat than the flies and ticks off this elk's back. As the icicles melt and the waters rise, life continues to perk up in the park. No creature better embodies this perkiness than the playful river otter. 3 otters emerge from their den. They lumber toward the water without a care in the world. Otters are impervious to the frigid water because they are protected and insulated by a thick, water-repellent coat of fur. Their nostrils and ears close during submersion, which keeps water out. A human would become hyperthermic in a matter of minutes in this water. But these otters can stay warm all day. The life of a river otter is surprisingly simple. They hunt, swim, build their habitat, and play together. As the weather changes and new growth emerges, predators are on the prowl for new prey. This mountain lion senses something nearby. The elk was unable to survive, and more magpies have gathered to scavenge on its remains. A mountain lion will not share a kill with anyone, much less a pesky magpie. It's rare, that a mountain lion will scavenge on a kill, but if it is desperate enough, it will gladly usurp a fresh carcass. Upon sniffing the elk, the lion determines that the meat here is too old and spoiled. With one last look, he leaves it for the scavengers to feast upon and goes off in search of his own hunting opportunity. It's a good day to be a magpie. Back at the raven's nest, the chicks have almost outgrown the nest. There's barely enough room for them all. Our raven chicks are big and healthy, and Mom still watches over them. Soon it will be time to learn to fly. As the snow melts, the rivers swell. The water's shed flows down from the mountain, and as the volume increases, the water rushes even faster. Migrating herds must face the raging rivers as they continue moving across the lands. Bison are big and heavy, often weighing up to 2,000 pounds. They can move across the powerful river with greater ease than many of the smaller animals. But it's still a challenge. Deer have a much greater challenge. Their small frame and lighter weight make them more susceptible to being swept away in the current. This herd flounders in the rapids. Most of them make it across to the other side, but some get swept away. And this makes them more vulnerable once they've been separated from their herd. Tragedy has hit our raven family. A spring storm washed their nest away, forcing them to learn to fly early. Most of them made it, but one was too slow. Instincts have taken over, and Mama Raven begins to rebuild the nest as quickly as possible. The longer her chicks are on the ground, the more likely they are to be set upon by a predator. It's up to Mom to save the day and protect the rest of her family. Our injured chick has succumbed to her injuries. But with a dedicated mother, the other chick's chances for survival are good. Nearby, our female red-tailed hawk builds her nest as a result of a successful breeding with her mate. She will usually have a clutch of between 1 to 3 eggs. The eggs will incubate between 28 and 35 days, and then hatch over 2 to 4 days. They'll leave the nest completely after 4 months. As the melt continues, new life and warm days approach. For with spring comes the promise of food, life, and community.